Does anyone else feel like TaylorMade just don't miss at the moment? The QI35 range has been an enormous hit, the fairway woods are amazing, the drives are super hot, and their spring release this 2025 is a new mini driver. They've absolutely nailed the nostalgia tour so far with the burner series, and now we've got an R7 quad mini driver. For those of you that have been playing golf for long enough, you'll know that this is based on the R7 quad driver, which was actually TaylorMade's first ever adjustable weight driver. So what we've got on here are 4 different adjustable weight ports, which we can custom. We're going to get into the more of the tech side of that later on in the video, but I'm here today at Fulford Golf Club to hit some shots and explain the tech and tell you how this thing performs. Oh, it's an absolute rocket. 155 ball speed, 256 carry. So TaylorMade have moved away from the burner series mini driver, of which there were 2, and they're now on to the R7 quad. So I think what they've been trying to do is push the envelope of the adjustability and sort of the fitability of these clubs. And in looking back for inspiration, they saw that the R7 quad was the first club that had this 4 weight port adjustability. So they've brought that back, and now we've got a mega fittable mini driver. What we've got here are 2 lightweights and 2 heavyweights, and you can configure those in any which way to customize your flight. So I've got the 2 heavyweights at the front because that's going to give me maximum distance and a lower ball flight, generally because I'm going to hit this club off the tee more than I'm off the deck. But if you're the opposite to me and you're going to hit the ball off the ground with this club more, you might put those 2 heavyweights at the back just to move the center of gravity back in the head and make it easier to launch. Now, with that, you can also set this up to be draw or fade bias if you need, and we've also got TaylorMade's loft sleeve so we can adjust the loft and lie accordingly. Pretty good, that. 157 ball speed, 250 carry. Now that ball speed is really close to my driver, so I usually play at like 160 to 163 depending on how strong I feel that day. So actually to see a 157 and actually a 159 in my previous testing, this is pretty insane. You know, that's really fast. So this club also features some tech that we are used to and we've seen before. So we do have the twist face, which is just going to help your downrange dispersion stay nice and tight. So it's going to be hopefully a bit more accurate than your driver. We've also got that speed pocket, which just allows the face to flex a little bit more, which is what's giving me that insanely fast ball speed. What's cool on this mini driver is we have that infinity carbon crown, which we've had in the driver. And what that has allowed TaylorMade to do is decrease the weight at the top of the club to redistribute that somewhere down here, which is just going to help you be more consistent and sort of hit that optimal launch more often. So I actually prefer the way this looks behind the ball compared to the 2 burners. I'm a big fan of the black. I think it's really clean and really smart. And I actually really like the R7 sort of colorway. The gold and red, white and black, it is just really cool. I used an R7 when I was a junior for probably like a little bit, maybe 2 weeks. But I do remember when I was a lad, there was a guy at the golf club who had the R7 Super Quad driver, which was basically all black, similar sort of colorway with the red and gold, with the adjustable weights. And it was like, that was the cool driver at the time. So this sort of brings me back memories of being a junior, which is pretty cool. Oh God, it just goes forever. It wasn't as good a strike, but another 157 carry. 262 total. It's just absolutely insane. I'm going to go and hit some shots off the fairway because some people are going to use this as a fairway wood club, but off the tee, like, we just can't fault the performance. It is effectively a second driver, which is what it's sort of supposed to be, obviously. I quite like the titanium face because it gives you that feedback, but you can feel the forgiveness. I've definitely not hit all those shots out the middle, but my numbers on the launch monitor have been really good, so top work. What a nice touch TaylorMade have got here is they've obviously worked with Fujikura to build this shaft for this head, and that they've managed to get it in the sort of same colorway. They did that with the burner clubs as well, but it's a really nice touch from TaylorMade. Right, so I've hit it off the tee. We know it goes like an absolute rocket. and is very, very usable. So I've got an 11.5 degree head here, which is obviously quite low lofted. Oops. So I've got an 11.5 degree head here, which is obviously quite low lofted. So what I'm going to do for the fairway test is I'm going to move the two weights back and see if I can get that ball launching a bit higher and just make that head a bit more forgiving. Obviously, what you would do if you were going to buy this club is go for a fitting and have the fitter decide where the weight should be, because you also can order different weights. So there's a 13 gram and a 4 gram that I've got, but there are other weights available, so getting fit would always be your best bet, and that is what TaylorMade recommend you do with any club you buy from them. Right, so I've got 280 yards to the flag. I'm not going to get there probably. I'd just like to hit some nice strikes, please. Bit off the bottom, but straight enough. Bit of twist face help there. Twist face assisted. 151 ball speed, not bad. See, not a good strike, obviously. I think what's really cool about the adjustability is you can move all these weights around to completely change the performance of the club without changing how it sits, which is really important, because I've always sort of disliked when you move the lie and the loft of the club, that it then looks very different behind the ball. Well, I've hit that a long way to the right, but I hit it up in the air. That, very interestingly, is a 158 ball speed shot. But because I've moved the weights further back, spins up, we're at 4,000 spin for a 240 carry. So that's a really enormous difference between tee shots and fairways, just by moving those weights back. So you can sort of get a bit of a feel for how adjustable this club is and how we can really change our ball flight characteristics just by simply moving some weights around. Actually, surprisingly easy to hit off the ground. That was another 158 ball speed. Now, something that you might think when you put the club behind the ball is, why would you use this as a fairway club? Because it does have a really deep face and it is almost intimidating behind the ball. But what you have to remember is, versus your 3-wood, this has got a much bigger head. So that increased sort of capacity and the weights being further back make this miles more forgiving than your 3-wood. So although it may not look sort of forgiving behind the ball, this is way more forgiving than a fairway. So it makes sense, if you use your 3-wood a lot, to actually have something a bit bigger, have something a bit longer, have something slightly lower lofted, because it's going to help you hit the ball further. Bit low on the face. So I really like this club. I love the way it looks. I definitely prefer when clubs are black, matte black in particular. I like the carbon, and I'm a big fan of this nostalgia thing TaylorMade are doing, sort of bringing out new clubs based on the looks of old stuff. Like, I absolutely love it. So are mini drivers for everyone? Well, probably not, to be honest. I know they're sort of becoming increasingly popular on tour, mainly because they can just hit them so far, and they're more forgiving. So like, players are just using them to smash it up long par 5s and maybe hit it on tee shots where there's bunkers and you can just lay up short. They're going to perform better than your 3-wood, so that makes sense. But are they going to go into like a high handicapper's hands? It really depends on your playing style, and that's why it's so important to go for a fitting. You can't say that these are just for good players or just for high handicappers, because they really depend on how you swing, can you even hit it, and do you face shots on your home course where you play most of your golf where you need one of these? Now, I can't answer that question for you, but a fitter definitely could. So I'm giving this a huge, 5 stars, no doubt, because it performs really well, it looks great, and the tech that TaylorMade keep producing is awesome. This is a definite step forward from the previous burner, just because of the adjustability alone. But I can't tell you to just go out and buy one, because there's a few more questions that have to be asked when it comes to putting a mini driver in your bag, because of what you're going to pull out to replace it. So I absolutely love what TaylorMade have done here. You need to get out and try one, preferably with a TaylorMade fitter, where you can mess with the weights, try the different shafts, and really find something that works right in your game. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. Let me know if you're going to try the R7 quad mini driver in the comments, and if you could please like and subscribe if you don't already, then that would be really good too, because it helps get this video to more people.